Welcome to this Avanade and MSDW presentation on navigating tariff volatility and AI, a practical approach and use case. I'm Dynamics MVP Rick McCutcheon, and I'm being joined today by a couple of experts in this area. So I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, and I'll go over to you first, Rachel.
Hi, everyone. I am Rachel Kittleson. I am an account executive for Microsoft, been with them about 6.5 years. I specialize in the manufacturing industry and driving strategic growth and meaningful and innovative partnerships like the one that we have with Avanade. Thanks, Rick. Excited to be here today.
Thanks, Rachel. Deanna.
Deanna Harner. I'm glad to be here as well. Thank you, Rick. So I am with Avanade, a consulting firm and a supply chain industry advisor. Spent the last 25 years leading supply chain across manufacturing, retail, CPG companies, and very excited to be here to talk about tariffs. Thank you again.
Excellent. Thank you. And we're going to start with you, Rachel. Tariffs have been around for a while and are not going away. While the speed of change may slow, how is the fast changing environment affecting your customers today?
Yeah, great question, Rick. You know, when we first started talking about tariffs with Avanade, I until we got into meeting with customers, didn't really understand tariffs have been around for a long time, right? We've had tariffs forever, but the speed at which they're changing today means that customers don't necessarily understand how and which tariffs are applying to them with each individual change. And when they come out from the government, most of my customers are now having to sit in war rooms for days on end to understand how these changes are going to affect them as a company and what, if any, will it affect their margin, their cost, should they pass through some of these costs onto their customers. So it's really creating a lot of not necessarily confusion, but a lot of change inside each organization that we've talked to about this issue.
Okay, thank you. Deanna, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, COVID a bit, right? You have to be agile and fast moving, and your data has to be connected. And so what we're finding is that we still have gaps in that, right? Where the data and the connectivity is a challenge. And so customers are having the challenges Rachel mentioned. There's the war rooms, there's the manual, effort that they're putting in, which is, I've heard people describe it as, just an immense amount of manual effort, right? Weekends and nights spent trying to keep their data updated with the government changes. And so with the speed of change, what we need to do is be agile, which I mentioned. And so I like to use the use case that we started the Navigator on. And in 2024, when we launched it, the client was saving $100,000 a day. In 2025, it's $150,000 a day. Right. So it shows, like Rachel mentioned, tariffs are here. They're, government likes tariffs. They're going to stay. But the agility and the speed of which they're changing is what's impacting customers. And so we're really excited to present, something that is easy, low code that they can implement to be more agile and be able to be responsive as things change in the marketplace.
Okay, great. Now, Deanna, why don't companies know what tariffs will affect them?
Yeah, it goes back to, a lot of information has to come from your suppliers, right? And so depending on the sophistication of your suppliers and the data connectivity with your suppliers, so if their data isn't coming to you timely, if their data isn't coming to you accurately, maybe they send you quarterly updates, right? Because normally quarterly updates would be fine for tariff codes, but currently I need to know today what the tariff code is if it's changing or I have a new item. And so a lot of that is what's the problem, right, is the source data. And then also you have your internal data, right? How good is your internal data if you're building materials on bombs, right? You're using multiple items to create your finished good. Like, how good is that data? And so as we talk to clients across industries, it goes back to that, right? It's very fundamental in getting the supplier data in. And then the other side is the government, right? So the government's switching the tariff rate. So even if you have the codes correct from your suppliers, it's integrated in your system, in a timely manner. How do you get, minute by minute, hour by hour changing tariff percents if you have millions of widgets in your system, right? So it's that real-time connectivity to the government that is really a piece that would have been missing, right, previously, even if they had the first piece figured out.
Rachel, would you like to add anything about tariffs?
Yeah, I'll just say too that, for a lot of my manufacturing customers, they probably knew exactly which tariffs affected them. But when things start changing on a country by country basis, and maybe I'm manufacturing something in one company and now these tariffs have gone up, but what if I were able to switch my manufacturing and manufacture in a different country? Or what if I'm able to change this widget in a small way? How does the tariff apply to me then? Like, are there ways that we can adapt our manufacturing operations to be able to take advantage of, or at least not lose as much, as we look at tariffs going forward?
Okay,
and
great.
sorry, like Deanna said, I'll just add on to that real quick, Rick, was, the faster that this is changing, right, we want to be able to think through these scenarios very quickly with our war room, with our operations team, with our supply chain. And so having that data at your fingertips is going to just make it so much easier.
Okay, great. Deanna, is it possible to use generative AI to help reduce the time it takes to answer questions about profit, margin, and customer costs?
Definitely. And so our solution uses AI to, when you have the platform of data, you have the real-time information that you describe, and then you put an agent or AI on top of that. It enables to do some of the things Rachel mentioned, right? The what if scenarios, the sourcing strategies, and help you with not just the what if scenarios, what should I do that now Korea's, tariffs have gone up and China's has done this. The what if scenarios is very important that the AI can assist with. But also, it learns with you, right? And as you continue to iterate, it learns along with you. And we have found that is a great benefit of putting AI on top of the tariff data.
Okay, excellent. So now I think we're going to have a short video break and look at this video on disconnected systems can't keep up.
With tariffs constantly shifting, staying on top of their financial impact is key. Meet Alex, a procurement manager navigating today's complex global supply chain. With Navigator, Alex gets notified when tariffs change, updates classifications in seconds, and sees how purchase orders are affected by suppliers. He can even loop in sales to make sure customers get accurate pricing fast. All of this so the business can act quickly and avoid profit margin erosion. Today, Alex receives a proactive alert from Navigator. Several SKUs have been hit by recent tariff changes. He asks Navigator to show affected items and current tariff codes since supplier tariff data is often inaccurate. This helps him quickly identify incorrect supplier codes and correct any errors in the system. Navigator provides a detailed list, current items, HTS codes, and tariff rates. Alex notices that some classifications need to be updated. He updates two SKUs, SK4789 and SK5293, to their correct HTS codes right from the chat. Navigator confirms the ERP update and offers to dig deeper. Alex now wants to see the annual purchase order impact for all tariffed items. Navigator crunches the numbers, 28 active SKUs, $418,000 in total impact. It even highlights the top 10 items driving most of the cost for Alex to review in case other vendors could be used to reduce the cost impact of new tariffs. Alex asks for the full dataset and receives it instantly as a CSV for further analysis. This helps him begin reducing tariff impact by exploring alternative suppliers or distribution options, and Navigator automates that first step, enabling proactive sourcing decisions. Next, Alex needs sales to understand which customer orders are affected to ensure pricing changes are communicated to the customers. Navigator generates a tailored report including customer name, order impact, and margin. In seconds, Navigator sends a summary PDF to the sales team. With Navigator, Alex didn't just respond to tariff changes, he acted fast and strategically. He received real-time alerts, updated incorrect HTS codes directly in the system, and assessed the full impact of tariffs on purchase orders. He identified which purchase orders were most affected and flagged opportunities for alternative sourcing. And by collaborating with sales, he ensured that pricing adjustments were shared with customers without delay. Most importantly, his actions help the company avoid profit margin erosion, turning risk into resilience.
Now it's over to Taylor, the sales manager. Taylor's goal? Understand how tariff-related costs affect customer pricing and profit margins, and find the right balance. With Navigator, Taylor can instantly see how tariff changes impact pricing and profitability, simulate cost-sharing scenarios, and tailor strategies for each customer. Executive and customer-ready summaries are just a click away, and alignment with procurement ensures everyone stays on the same page. All of this helps Taylor act quickly to avoid profit margin erosion. Navigator delivers a report of orders impacted by tariffs from procurement. 5 current customer orders are affected by new tariffs. Taylor wants to know, what happens if we pass on all the costs to the customers? The numbers are clear, absorbing the full cost would slash margins by over 4%. To protect both margin and customer relationships, Taylor asks Navigator to simulate different cost-sharing options, 75%, 50%, and 25%. Navigator runs the numbers instantly. Now Taylor can see the dollar impact for each customer under all 3 scenarios, and where they rank in revenue. Navigator makes a data-driven recommendation. Customize cost-sharing based on each customer's value and sensitivity. Taylor agrees, this strategy makes sense. In moments, an executive summary is created to help Taylor communicate to sales leadership, detailing the impacts by customer, rationale, and margin preservation. Taylor has met and gained leadership approval on the customer order changes. She asks Navigator to generate customer-specific reports, including affected orders and SKUs, new pricing, cost-sharing details, contact info. Navigator prepares a branded summary for each customer, ready to send. Clear, personalized, and professional, no manual effort required. With Navigator, Taylor moved from reactive to proactive. She reviewed the margin impact of tariffs, simulated multiple cost-sharing options, and identified the best pricing strategies to remain competitive. She generated tailored reports for leadership and customer conversations fast. And by working closely with procurement, she helped protect profit margins, customer trust, and remain competitive. Navigator gave her the clarity and speed to make decisions that truly move the business forward. Turn complexity into clarity. Navigator, empowering informed decisions made with speed and confidence.
So that video looks interesting. Deanna, can you tell us a little bit about how the Solution Accelerator came into being?
Absolutely. So we wanted to use a baseline case that I had described earlier from 2024, where we were able to take a company and help them automate the information from the government and their data sources. And that use case was a $36 million savings to the company, where they're able to identify costs and decide what of that they were going to pass on to their customers. That, and along with, knowledge that 2025 may be a year of tariff conversations, right? We looked at how we can use low code and AI to make this applicable across industries and companies to solve, the problem that we knew existed before and could, become more prevalent in 2025. And so we basically leveraged, the 2 hour and 2 day that you see on the screen, where we were, going in from a consultative approach to talk about what their business problems are, where their data is coming from, and how we can build a solution quickly that actually answers the key questions and key challenges they have that's causing them to go to war rooms around the tariff challenge.
So Rachel, can you give us some example of companies that are looking at this solution?
Yeah, I can. Companies, the way that they manufacture products from our perspective, it could be in multiple different ways, right? You could have a small portfolio of goods that you're trying to figure out how and where to manufacture. And the companies that we've talked to, that maybe manufacture 3 small items or 3 large items, they basically know and understand the tariff codes today, right? But are struggling with the what if scenarios around, I manufacture most of this stuff in one area, and what if I manufactured it in a different area? What if I were able to buy my parts in one region, and how would the tariffs affect me there? So they are really excited about the brainstorming what if scenarios and being able to get that real-time data to be able to adapt to how they manufacture their specific widgets. I also have, on the flip side of that, companies who refer to their products as Lego sets, right? So we manufacture a lot of different things that can be put together in different ways, and create new SKUs every month, depending on how customers need our items to be put together. And so their scenario is a little bit different in that, if I have thousands of Lego pieces that I manufacture, what if I were able to change one of those Lego pieces in some way, maybe put a metal coating on it or things like that? And today, they're doing all of that manually and having a lot of conversations with their operations teams and, just running their own scenarios. So I think having a tariff solution like this that Deanna's showing us today is going to be really valuable to be able to say, what if I did change that metal coating? What would the tariff code be for that? Or what if I were able to manufacture this in one country and not in another country? What would the tariff code be for that? And how would we be able to put those together for the most profitable way to get our product to market for our company?
Okay, excellent. So Deanna, do you have some examples of companies as well?
So along with the ones Rachel mentioned in the manufacturing space, we've spoken to some major retailers. And so some of the retailers do spot buys, right? So they're going to get a supplier that says, I have this large, amount of inventory of X good, and they need to make a decision quickly if they're going to take that spot buy. So having this agile approach with AI on top, right? They can quickly put in the buy information and have the solution, give them guidance on should they buy it, right? What is the impact of the buy beyond the cost, right? When you put on the tariffs on top of that, what is that cost? And is that a good approach to buying these goods? And as well as, we've mentioned a couple of times that alternative sourcing, right? And retail as well. Can they get it from, if they have a large manufacturer who they buy goods for their retail outlets, does that manufacturer make it in several different locations, right? So is some of the goods made in Korea and some of them made in China and some in Mexico and some in Canada. And so the approach allows them to look at that in an agile way and say, yes, okay, I should actually place this order with them, but I should use this country of origin because the impact to me is less. And I can maintain my profit margins because retailers can't always increase the price, right? Depending on the good, just like manufacturing. And so it allows them to make those decisions and understand before they make large purchases.
Okay, great. So let's talk a little bit, Deanna, about what Avanade brings to the table from a consulting solution approach and help you with sort of the speed and the time it gets the solution to the customer.
So as I mentioned, we have industry experts like myself and innovation technologists that have been delivering Microsoft technology for, the 25 years that Avanade's been in service. So we have a deep net of knowledge from an industry perspective of what, when we go in the room, we can understand what they're asking and understand the pain points that they're describing, and then leveraging the low-code solutions Microsoft has and the AI, aptitude of those solutions to be able to, customize and launch something quickly with whatever their data source is, right? So that's really key right now to a lot of customers is my data sitting here or here. So our approach is looking first at the business problem, right? What is their specific challenge? Like Rachel and I have mentioned, we've described 3 or 4 different types of problems that we can solve. And so the consultative approach is to go in and hear what that is, and then bring our innovative technologists in the Microsoft platform to leverage what they already have, likely, right? Power Platform. And how can we leverage that to make an impact and get them out of war rooms and have them start focusing on strategy, right? One of the things we also heard that I just want to add in is, if you've made a strategy last week that you're going to start buying this good from this country and it changes this week, it was taking weeks to adjust your strategy. So now with the Tariff Navigator approach, they can look at that strategy because now we know that's what they're looking for is alternative sourcing, and we build that in. And so now to change their strategy right? As tariffs change, they can do quickly by talking to an agent and saying, okay, what should I do here, right? Should I stay with the strategy I've created, or should I make an adjustment to it?
Okay, thank you. This has been a very interesting conversation. So I'm going to just ask, are there any closing thoughts? You first, Rachel.
Yeah, I think like Deanna said, the tariffs affect most of my customers, and every customer that we've talked to is a little bit unique, but not necessarily unicorn and all of this kind of stuff. And so Avanad's approach to this, their consultative approach to this, means that they bring a wealth of knowledge of customers that they've worked with across the way, and then are able to adapt to the specific use cases for each of the customers that they work with. And a lot of times this solution is built on products that the customers already own today, right? It's just using them in a new and innovative way that's going to make sense and really help drive their business forward and be able to release products or source products in a very timely manner that's going to help their bottom line, basically.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Deanna.
Comments I'd add on top of that is, we wanted to come out and help with a business problem, tariffs, right? We wanted to do it quickly so that we can get them out of war rooms and back to strategy. But one of the things we're hearing a lot from clients when we're presenting this is a great AI use case, right? So a lot of companies right now have AI on their corporate scorecard, and they're trying to find really good use cases of leveraging AI. And this is a great opportunity. So whether it's exactly the Tariff Navigator or it's some iteration of it, it's a great opportunity to talk AI and make it very simple and not over complex, make it over complex, so that they can have this really great use case and start, leaning into that corporate goal as well.
Okay, this was a great conversation about tariffs and the use of AI to solve a lot of our problems. And if somebody wants more information, they can go to use this QR code to go to the Avanad website, and there's a lot of resources there that can take you through these issues and some videos that you can watch. So panelists, thank you very much for your time. And I'm sure we'll be back to you in the near future to talk more about AI and tariffs.
Thank you, Rick.
Bye for now.